Welcome back to Behind the Tab, a GoTab produced podcast that dives into the evolving world of hospitality through the lens of technology, creativity, and community. Each episode spotlights the game-changing innovations, real-world operator stories, and GoTab's own team members who are redefining what it means to serve and to scale in modern food and beverage. Today, we continue our conversation with Ashley Owens, co-founder of CourtReserve, alongside GoTab's own CEO and co-founder, Tim McLaughlin. Here we go. So we talked about this a little bit earlier, we alluded to, and let's get into a little bit more detail. There's no secret in the last decade, there's been a huge boom in racket courts in general. We talked, you talked about starting pickleball during, the pandemic, but then also we're seeing padel and a reemergence of tennis. If it has a court and a net, it probably is, getting a facelift, or people are getting more excited about it. So Ashley, how has, you talked about the origin story previously, but how do you think CourtReserve has kind of impacted or helped generate more of this boom? And do you foresee it, continuing on? I mean, obviously, hopefully you foresee it continuing on. But what impact do you think CourtReserve has had on this space?
Well, that's a great question. And I think it's I can answer it in a lot of different ways. From the club standpoint, I think we've given the club the ability to do the things that they need to do. When you put technology, when you put the ability to put software and automation into play, you're taking paper court sheets away. You're taking, manual phone calls away, right? You're taking all that manual time and actually putting it into a system and allowing your front desk, your instructors to go and do the other things that they need to do in a day. Most of our tennis, pickleball, padel, badminton, whatever sport, most of those coaches and instructors did not get into their business to keep up with who paid me this $20. Did I collect the money from the parent? Sign-ups, waivers. They did not get it. They got into it to teach. So CourtReserve has allowed, especially those directors, those instructors, to do what they want to do, which is stay on the court, be back on the court, be with their community of players. And then from the player standpoint, I mean, when's the last time you actually picked up the phone to make a reservation restaurant? Hello, I want to book a table. It's Resi, it's Open Table, right? When's the last time people paid for cable TV, your Netflix and your Hulu? And people expect in this day and time to easily be able to go to the brewery, hit their app, pay for their beer, and sit there and watch their football game. And it's the same in racket sports. So racket sports are, I would say, almost doing this, revolution. We're getting more people playing tennis. We're getting more people going and playing multi-sports. We're getting people who are opening pickleball centers with golf sims. You've got golfers who have never hit a ball, anything other than a golf ball in their entire life, and now they're playing pickleball. And then they can play red ball tennis, right? So I think we're only getting started in our space. And I think that more of us working together, GoTab and CourtReserve, these integrations, we're just going to allow both the club and the player to just have the best experiences ever.
I love the excitement and enthusiasm for the future. Not only so great that all these things have been coming up currently, but moving forward in the future. Tim, we've seen a lot of things happen over the last 25, 30 years, come up, go down, come up, go down. What do you see any correlation in this space, and what kind of lessons do you think could be learned from those other hospitality entertainment booms that we've seen in the past?
Adam, I think you're calling me old. You keep saying you've seen all this stuff for so long.
No comment. I'm not saying anything. No.
I really do hope the court sort of revolution, if you will, is here to stay. I actually sat on the board of a soccer league management company for a while. And so you see all these different trends as sports come and they go. I do hope that the entertainment / sporting, it's very interesting because I own breweries. Breweries are obviously on the downslope right now. As alcohol in the US is sort of tapering off, post-COVID sort of binge, if you will. But these cycles come and go. If you actually looked at the beer world, the beer went through, in my lifetime, it went through 3 craft cycles. Most people aren't aware because they aren't as beer nerdy as I am, but there were other cycles that it went through, came and went. and you can track the stocks over that duration. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, the Owens team is very dynamic, and they'll probably figure out how, whatever the next new trends, whether it's golf sims or ultimately it's some box containing entertainment, right? I suppose you can call that a court. But I think there probably will be a trend. I think the question is like when, where, how much. But I mean, it's been incredible how much the court growth has occurred. And I mean, like I said, the pivoting to golf sims and whatnot else makes a ton of sense because that's the way to insulate, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I also came from the brewery world for the majority of my career, and I can say that I've lived through at least two of those up and down turns that you're talking about. And where we saw the most success is when we diversified our portfolio, our revenue streams, whether it be events or whether it be adding food where it didn't exist before, or just some other reason besides the main reason we were there. And so I foresee that being a thing in your space as well, Ashley. Of course, the whole idea of diversifying what CourtReserve can accomplish makes a whole ton of sense. But the question I have for you, Ashley, here is not about what CourtReserve can do, but like the trends that you've seen in the racket space, the spaces that have been the most successful over this last decade, and those that you see being more successful moving forward in the future. What do you see in those success stories that you'd want to try to impart on to anybody else who is either just up and coming or trying to revamp their space?
Yeah, I think the ones that I have seen that have been the most successful are the ones who are pivoting. So for a long time, if you were a tennis coach or a tennis facility, the pickleball was the anti, right? I'm never playing pickleball. I'm never teaching pickleball. I'm never coaching pickleball. And those facilities who have now put in a couple pickleball courts, well, now you have new players, new membership revenue. You can drive, more events, more lessons, more programming. You have a whole new functionality in your space. And so I do think we've got paddle, we've got badminton, we've got other things, golf sims. I do think those people that are pivoting are going to be the most successful because then you can give people choice. Again, you go back to making sure that everybody can have fun and play.
All right. So I got to pivot then myself and ask you the opposite. We've seen we've seen more success stories over the last 10 years than we have failures, but there have been some failures. Have you noticed or have you kind of taken on any lessons from those, whether or not CourtReserve was involved in them or not, as a partner? Is there anything that you take away from that you, again, try to impart on your things to avoid?
Yeah. So even in our space, we've seen right now pickleball clubs come and go already. And it's because they, and I don't want to come off as brashy, but like they have a passion for the sport. They have enough money to blow on the sport, but then they don't actually have a good business model in place. And, you have to be able to create community, culture. I mean, Old Coast Pickleball here in St. Augustine, we are constantly, asking the members, asking the visitors, hey, how can we get you to come back? What do you want to do at Old Coast Pickleball? We have to constantly drive community and culture. So I think that, when we're talking about if that's going to play out in CourtReserve, we need to always constantly be thinking about community, thinking about our culture. And then we also think about our customers as well. What are they going to want in the next 5 or 10 years? Right now with AI, I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but like it's everywhere, right? I mean, we're using it in our own business. And now we're trying to figure out how do we safely use this in our own product. And so it's constantly just making sure that we are ahead of the game.
Yeah. I would add, Adam, that what you just saw or what you have seen not work in pickleball or other court sports where people did the exact same thing in breweries. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, a lot of the breweries that are going out of business are the ones that really don't want to do the business side of it. And they'll tell, at least as someone who owns breweries, is whenever someone says, I just want to make beer, you're like, I'm sorry, that's awesome. But someone has to be a manager and worry about things like accounting and profitability and marketing and all this stuff that actually sounds like a job. And that is, I think, where the passion starts and then turns into work. And then obviously, ideally, you can balance your passion with your work. but that is what I mean. That's probably why there were 10,000 breweries 3 years ago, and now there's only 9,000. Right?
I always say you have to do what you got to do until you get to do what you get to do, right? Because somebody's got to clean toilets and also answer the phone and open the front door. And so the passion has to be for every part of the business. And so I hope that people will continue to have good business backgrounds and mentality, and that, we'll continue to see the growth in everything.
I think there's a lot of overlap in what we talked about earlier in the fact that you don't have to be a one-stop shop to run your facility, right? It takes a village. You can partner with the right people who want to do the accounting, who want to clean the toilets, who need to clean the toilets, like knowing how to manage your staff, and then also where to partner with the right talent to accomplish the things that you don't want to have to do. You just want to brew beer. You just want to teach pickleball. Like, there's certain things, obviously, you have to be able to do in order to run a successful business. And you got to find the right partners to do that, I'm sure.
Yes.
All right. One last question for you, Ashley. We talked about things that you noticed, some trends here or there, and some things that have failed. But there's still stuff happening. I'm sure there are trends or things that you're seeing in court locations that you just don't understand. Like, why are you doing it this way? But it's succeeding. You're just continuing to. Give me one thing that you've seen, like in a court facility, that you're like, I just don't understand why you're doing it. But no, it's not failing, so you're going to continue to do it. But you just can't wrap your head around it.
Yeah, I'm going to go to our public facilities. A lot of our public parks and recs facilities, they are still on pen and paper, a lot of them. They make it very hard. They use really old functionality and technology to do waivers and summer camp signups. And I just can't understand, because we go to a lot of conferences and we meet a lot of great directors, recreational directors, coaches that maybe, they're working part-time at this rec facility and part-time at another facility, and they're having to old school everything. And with the amount of technology in the world, hey, you don't have to use CourtReserve, but find something that's going to make it easy for your players, your moms, and your staff. And so that's one of the things that I've noticed recently. I just don't understand some of our county, city, and governmental organizations that are just still stuck in 1999 before everybody had a computer in their pocket. And so that is something that I do hope in the future that a lot of folks can get on board with, just to make it a better experience, because our public parks and recs are meant to be for all people to get out, to, be healthy, get moving, like all this stuff. And that makes it a lot tough for them.
Yeah. I mean, I always feel as though restaurants have always been in that fit, Tim, right? It's like always the last to adopt new technology or what have you. Do you feel like you're still seeing that, you're still running into that in this space?
I mean, it's funny, if you talk to Opsy, which is one of the company we acquired last year that sells into kitchens. So it's founded by a chef, former Michael Mina chef. Chefs are notoriously sort of anti-technology. Or many of them are, I should say that, because some of them are actually incredibly forward thinking, but they love the tactile feel of working with food and all those things. So their primary technology they're fighting with is pen and paper.
Mm-hmm.
So you go in, it's a different reason. I think I have a feeling that a lot of what Ashley's talking about is just volunteers, and volunteers don't have time to sort of structurally improve things. Whereas in kitchens, there's actually just almost a rejection in some cases of technology. Some reasons are legitimate, because some of the old technology sucked, right? But some of the new stuff can really make your job easier. So it is a little perplexing, for sure.
Sure. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. This was a great conversation. Ashley, I'm going to give you the classic podcast opportunity to plug anything else you have going on. Where can anybody who's interested in learning a little bit more about CourtReserve, what should they do? Who should they reach out to, and where are you going to be next? You said you're going to take CourtReserve on the road. What's the future look like in that regard?
Yeah, so whether they need software today or in a couple years, they can reach out to CourtReserve.com, schedule a one-on-one call with us. We'd love to talk to them, get to know them, what their needs are. And yeah, so we are at a ton of conferences next year. If somebody wants to find out where we're going to be located, go to CourtReserve.com, go to events. All of our events are there. And then our Catalyst tour is where we actually go around the country and we do a 1 to 2 day Catalyst tour stop. And we spend a day with our admins just really teaching them how to supercharge their CourtReserve system. And so that is to be determined. Our first stop's going to be here in St. Augustine, Florida in January. But I know we're going to go to Ohio this year. We're going to near Denver, Colorado. We're going to go to Toronto. And so it's going to be an exciting year, and we're just getting started.
Great. Yeah, I know we have a couple of GoTab CourtReserve locations in Ohio. I live in Indiana myself, so I'll try to make that trip pretty easily.
Yeah.
I learned a long time ago that if you live in the Midwest, if you're going to say you're going to make a 4.5 to 5 hour drive, that's not a big deal. You don't have that same mentality everywhere else in the country, but apparently the Midwest, that's a normal thing. All right, and I know that we'll be joining you for a lot of those events in general on the GoTab side as well. We've had a great partnership, a great integration that I'm looking forward to, growing alongside you guys, especially with this new investment fund round, and see where we can go from there.
Let's do it.
All right. This has been another episode of Behind the Tab, a GoTab produced podcast looking at the future of hospitality. I want to take a second to thank our guest, Ashley Owens of CourtReserve, and of course, Tim McLaughlin of GoTab. Make sure you are following us on our YouTube page and providing a rate and review on anywhere that you are listening to this podcast. Thanks again. We'll catch you next time.